welcome to Catbot AI. This week's podcast, we are going to talk about gaming and AI. Now, Ken, who you know at this point, he and I have very different viewpoints on this. Myself, I was only allowed to play educational games. You know, back in the day, for those of us that are older, Oregon Trail was my first one. Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing. I was conned into thinking that that was a video game. So, Ken, what was your
No,
first video game?
wait, no Carmen San Diego?
Oh, yeah, but that was
Where in the
later.
world?
That was later. That was more like fifth grade, so 89.
Well, I didn't really get into gaming that much until I got my first computer. And once I got the computer, I wanted to play games on it, but I wouldn't play games. So eventually I ended up getting a tower. I don't think I built the first one, but either way, and a graphics card. Now, for those of you that have been in gaming for a while, the graphics card was so large, I couldn't put the side on my computer anymore. So it just stuck out. It was just open to the air, essentially.
Wow.
If it was a 3DFX Voodoo 5. That's right. And 3DFX was actually bought by Nvidia, I believe.
So
But
this is a
that's
great... Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that's how I got into video games. Really, was getting that computer, playing a couple of those basic games, and then downloading a game or buying rather the time you went to stores and got the CDs or the floppy disks even for. Remember Burger King gave them out during Independence Day or whatever.
Yeah, vaguely.
They had little games,
Vaguely.
and
Gosh.
brought it back, and the computer
Yeah.
wouldn't play it, and I was like, why? So I looked it up, figured it out.
So today, Ken is going to be carrying most of the load here. I'm going to go ahead and just ask questions and kind of facilitate because when it comes to games, I'm torn on this. I grew up playing, like I said, educational games. My favorite game that I played growing up was SimCity, that whole franchise. I have a degree in urban planning. And I swear to you, I think that I had that and was so interested in it because that is one of the only video games I was allowed to play was SimCity, where you design a city. So when it comes to gaming cards and yeah, the kids have the skins nowadays that you're paying $25 for. There's
You're
certain
just
things
calling
that
them the kids
the
right now. Is that
kids,
what you're
the
saying?
kids. I did. 'Cause it's like I talked to some people that are close family friends, and they're literally asking for money. Can I use my allowance for this? And I was out there a couple months ago out in California, and I heard this conversation, and I'm like, wait, what? You paid $10 for some skin? And I had the 8-year-old explain it to me, and I understood it, but then I was just like, this sounds like a racket. I don't know what's happening. So
Well,
today
it
we're going
kind
to,
of is. Kind of
and
is.
that is why we're going to talk a little bit about 5 different concepts. One's going to be around AI's impact on gaming. The next is something around the mods in NPC generative AI, which is sort of coming out. It's not like actually out. You gamers will totally know what I'm talking about. Then the economy of in-game skins. Then the revenue that's actually going to be generated through having more AI within the video games. Think of even just virtual when you're able to grab something. I think of being in the metaverse and you're grabbing something and it's going to click and you're paying for it. And then obviously we're going to talk about graphics cards with a specific company in mind of Ken's choice. So
It's my choice. That's right.
do us a favor. Can you explain exactly when it comes to AI,
Mhm.
how is that even involved when it comes to gaming? I don't ever really think about it.
So, for years, if you play video games, you've always called the NPCs or non-player characters the AI, right? So that was already kind of built into anyone who played video games. Like,
See,
oh, the
fun
AI
fact,
is
I just learned something like 5 minutes less in here. Okay.
there you go. But we'd always say, oh, the AI is terrible in that game, or the AI, because it was always the programming of those non-player characters or your enemies or what have you. Or if you're playing a strategy game, it was they would just waste their units and throw it at you. Just bad, like a chess match even. But nowadays we're more. I mean, we still call it AI, but there are things coming out, as Catherine mentioned too. We've seen mods in Skyrim where they use ChatGPT to essentially you can have a conversation with these NPCs or non-player characters. and the potential companies have looked into integrating that into our generative AI into some of their new games. And that kind of is going to play, well, as we talk more about the skins and all that, it's going to play more into how they can support, the compute costs for all that online.
And I want to just preface because I have a follow up question to that. But we're not endorsing any games or any companies here. This is just a total general conversation. I'm definitely the like dumb person here because I don't understand like 75% of what you just talked about. I guess my question is when it comes to can with again we're not endorsing anybody. Can you give some examples of video games that have that AI that's already been built in for people that don't know?
Are you talking about not generative AI? Are you talking about just AI in
AI
general?
in general, yeah.
Any video game, Call of Duty, or you know, Stellaris is a game I like to play.
Okay.
Skyrim
Okay.
has any game, like I said, any game where there is other entities or people or situations that you use as some sort of what we would call AI or pathing and instructions and all that in it.
Okay, cool. So at any point for everybody, again, I want to reiterate that I'm going to ask Ken for examples of specific games. I'll give examples of specific games. My playing version is very, very limited. We are not endorsing anybody. We are just fans,
I think
enthusiasts.
I think you covered that. Don't worry. We do not
I'm just
endorse any of
saying. I'm
these
just saying.
games.
You know,
We're
maybe,
not.
yeah, I don't want to say anything bad about these skins because I don't know anything about it. I'm going to learn today. I don't
You
even know
don't
what
want to get
games they're
sued
in.
by Epic.
I don't know. I don't know. I like EA games. Their former client. Love you. You're great. Okay, so tell us a little
Challenge
bit about.
everything.
I do. It's probably from the video games. It was in SimCity back in the day. Just saying, it's subliminal. So the evolution from scripted behavior to adaptive learning. Tell us about that because I don't know anything about that.
So back in the day,
Layman's
let's say
terms, man,
you're
like simple, simple.
I'm gonna make it as simple as
Thank
possible.
you.
No
And then you
worries.
can
No
nerd it up a
worries.
little.
I'm not gonna either way. So there's different elements when it comes to how the non-player characters or the AI. I'm just gonna start calling it the AI for now,
Totally.
just for simplicity's sake. There's different ways the AI work. Like pathing was important, especially in 3D games. Could they realize they're hitting a wall? Could they take cover if you started shooting at them? That sort of thing.
Okay.
And nowadays it will adapt to a good example is they released that Alien Isolation game, and it wasn't a game for everybody because it was one of those where it was a hiding type game, but the AI they built for that alien and the pathing and the conditions, they put so much time and energy into that that it would just randomly pop up while you're trying to do something, and it would hunt you and then try to hide, and it would basically adjust to your behavior, and that's kind of how it's evolved over the years, is better AI.
Okay. Okay. So then go like super deep into the woods. When you're talking to someone that's a definite gamer and hardcore like you, what's something that you're excited about when it comes to this new adaptive learning?
Well, the use of generative AI or some sort of large language learning model, Nvidia actually just released their own 2 days ago. I think it was on the 15th of October, which I actually have to download to try because I have an Nvidia card. But
So fancy. So fancy.
well, I listen. Gaming computers are also good for work and video editing. There you go. But it they claim it's supposed to be as good as GPT-4. Have not tried it yet. I look forward to giving it a go. And I totally lost my train of thought on what question you asked. Oh, I remember now. We're good. We're good.
ADHD, the two of us, never good. Never good.
That is true.
Sometimes, most times, great. 90% great, 10% eh. So it was really
I
about
got
when
off
you're
on a tangent.
talking. It's okay because I think that the cards do play a big part in this as I am on my laptop that I thought was a gaming computer and now I'm quickly being schooled that it's not. Um,
Yeah.
when you're thinking about the gaming community and you have the adaptive learning, what are people going to be most excited about?
So a big story, especially once these mods came out for Skyrim, was how you could talk to a non-player character instead of having their scripted lines and all that. They could actually react and interact and have a conversation with you. Like they give you a quest, go get the
So many
golden
comments.
sword of what happened?
So many comments and nerdness. Please continue.
I'm like, you can make all the comments you want, but it's
It's like a
so instead of just
multi-billion-dollar industry, so I'm obviously the outlier on this.
it is believe me, it makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the point is that they give you the quest in a standard game. You have your written dialogue and everything, and generally, hopefully, it's a good one. You know, depending on the game you're playing. I used to love Bethesda, but that's a whole nother story. Uh, as far as their AI and quests and all that go, but instead of them just giving you the story, go get this and all that, you're able to have a conversation after with, you know, why, like, can you give me any clues, that sort of thing. So it could take the conversation. It's unique for every user. Would be the idea behind it, and then what they call radiant quest, going back to the Bethesda example there too, like quests that just come up that you would get that are randomized or picked from a pool. It would make those a little more interesting as well because they could expand on whatever situation they were in.
So you mentioned mods. I don't know what that is.
Modifications.
Okay, great. Wow. See, remedial. How have mods and the gaming community been used to alter or enhance games?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, modding games, and this is one reason I mentioned many times before, playing games on a PC, fantastic for kids because that's how I basically learned file systems and got into programming was through trying to mod a video game.
Okay,
But
I'm gonna go ahead and kick back on this right now. Go ahead.
okay, well, there's some games that come out, and if they release a good mod kit or whatever, it's easy to mod for the modding community. There'll be a whole community built around it, and they'll release patches for issues that they never fixed. I mean, famous ones are, again, I talk about Fallout, Bethesda, all that. Like the community patches, but they're for a lot of games, or just updates, tweaks, things to balancing and all that. And then there's just ones that totally change the game experience. I mean, there's total conversions where it's basically an entirely new game. I mean, there's a ton of them for Skyrim too. I seem to be stuck on a Bethesda kick here, but that's just where it's going today.
So, how has AI been used to actually create more realistic responses?
So there have been a couple tech demos which look, you know, pretty interesting, especially because in a game, generally, when you talk to somebody, you have options to choose from, what you're going to say, or, you know, it's anger, nice, or sarcastic. It gives you an idea of what you're going to say. This, you could actually talk to it using your mic and then get a response.
I have so many other questions.
And then with
So
AI, with the
then,
voice generation too, they could technically, it could be a voice response.
and I mean this wholeheartedly, anyone listening and watching, please do leave in the comments what games I should play. Because again, my wheelhouse is definitely SimCity and The Sims. So, like, what I'm familiar with in The Sims is if they get upset, they're a little, they change color. They have a little meter of happiness. How do I know in some of these other video games if somebody's pissed or not?
Well, depending on the game, usually they're good enough now with facial animations and voice inflection and all that
Okay,
type of stuff
okay.
to you could tell if they're upset.
Which is why I
So
need a better video card, from what I understand.
you need a video card. She has integrated graphics for anyone who knows what that is. When you get a if you don't know, when you get a laptop or something and it says it has a graphics processor, it's a lot of times it's on the CPU chip and it's just integrated graphics. It's for your desktop. That's it. It's not for games, it's not for any of that stuff. So everything has to be run by a CPU
I
instead
feel
of a
like I
GPU.
was lied to because it's known as the gaming laptop. I'm not going to say the brand, but I totally thought that you could play like Tony Hawk on it and it would be amazing. And now I'm realizing that I'm old from this
You may be able to
research.
play. You
Yeah,
may be able to play
yeah.
Tony Hawk
I'm
if you use an
just
emulator. Not that I have ever done such a thing. And anything game I ever played in an
no.
emulator, I 100% owned.
Okay, so you can tell by the vocal intonation, like a human. It's like a person, right? It's just a video game. So when you think about this, the implications as a whole, how is AI going to affect the gameplay and the player engagement?
I think it'll draw people in more, especially when it comes to certain quests. Now, don't get me wrong. There's fantastic studios like Larian, you know, who made the new Baldur's Gate, where they have fantastic voices and the scripted cutscenes and all that.
I'm
But to
trying not to laugh at
expand
that title, New Baldur's.
Baldur's Gate,
Bal- okay.
oh my goodness,
Baldur's Gate.
it's
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate. Yes,
Baldur's
look it
okay.
up. Look it up. It's a good game.
Maybe we cut that out. I did pause, but yeah, go ahead.
No, we're keeping it in.
These fucking names. Okay, so I'm sorry. Please go ahead. How is the AI gonna go ahead and draw people in?
You want me to start over, or
No,
because
continue. Let's keep it in. Let's go raw on this
all
because this is
right,
your like wheelhouse. This is not. I'm just asking questions. I don't know anything.
well, you sound like an investigative reporter. I'm just here to ask questions. Just asking questions.
I'm the SimCity person. That's from 2003, apparently, with really bad graphics, and I'm super upset that don't look good. So please, when it comes to player engagement, sell me this pen. Sell me like why would I care? Someone that's like not a video game person,
Mhm.
total addictive personality that's like, oh my god, when I turn it on, this is my problem. What would I love about AI being a part of a video game that's going to make me more engaged and bought in?
Well, not in its current state right now, but as let's say in the next 5 years or something, when you start to play these games, instead of canned responses you get from NPCs or just like all the random people in a crowd they have in a
Oh.
game, you could have a conversation with anybody, and then at that point, the generative AI could make up a whole little backstory for them. And who knows, they may need something, or you may run into them later. It could flag them as important and then bring them back. So it could,
So hold up, I'm gonna throw this at you then, because I know many people play these like multiplayer online games where they have their little community. In
yeah.
theory, would you say that you could then create a player? You and I could be playing a game. We have like 6 different people, right? I'm not
Mhm.
available for a week. I'm on vacation. I'm camping somewhere. There's no Wi-Fi. You potentially, I could have created a character that the AI is so good at knowing who I am and has that whole facial expression, the vocal intonation. AI is being me when I'm gone. That could happen, right?
That could happen. It would have to learn a lot about you or just the way you play the game. But
I think that could happen in 5 years based on what's happening. Interesting. See, now I'm intrigued.
and then who? But you'd have to agree to obviously have your face scanned. People were doing that back when the Nintendo Wii. They put their face on the little
Oh, I'm totally a
knees.
Nintendo Wii scan, of course.
So you do play games. You heard it here first. Oh, there
I mean,
it
I'm just not
goes.
religious about it.
I don't listen. I don't light candles and say a chant every time I start up,
You don't
Factorio
sage.
or
You don't
Call of
sage
Duty.
to
No,
make
I
sure
know.
after a bad night of losing. Okay, that's interesting. Literally, that did pique my interest. I'm not joking because some of these things, I know my brother's a big, big gamer and he has his home online community. And there's other people that I know that have like had real life meetups and they go sit in a big room. They like rent out a conference room and they play games.
Those are called
It's
LAN parties.
I'm learning so much. I did not know that. Um, so I guess my point is that ultimately if I can create again a stand-in player, maybe I potentially would be more engaged to play this game because then I know I don't have to sit online late at night if I have an early morning and I could wake up and check how my player did.
Okay, so what you're
Maybe
talking about is bots and bot farming. There's a lot of games where they're RPGs or something like Black Desert Online where people will literally make what we call bots, right? Or everyone's familiar with the term from the Twitter bots and all that kind of stuff. But they will make these to go out and make in-game currency for them that they'll sell for real money. I mean, this
I
bot
can.
farming has
I
been
can.
huge. No, really, they will do that. They'll be like $10 for a ridiculous amount of money, and people do it. People have been doing
So
that
that
since World of Warcraft and even before, I'm
Well,
sure.
that takes us into this whole the economics of skins I want to talk about because I do not get it. Like I am the jackass that will play the free games on my phone, watch the 30-second commercials or even the minute commercials. I'm not going to do an in-game app or I'm not going to flat out pay for the game. What's the only game I paid for? Back in the day, that's right, The Sims. So I've been hearing about these skins, and I'm like, wait a second, you're dropping $10 on a skin? Like, first of all, Ken, what is it? I feel like it's
So
clothing.
It's
I
clothing, or it
shake
could
my head.
change.
I
So
really am very. I'm triggered by this. But yeah, please. I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
she's very upset about this, and I'm sure Catherine will tell you why eventually.
Where's the
About
money?
her hypothetical situation that could happen. But so mainly, I mean, the one everyone goes to think of first is Fortnite, right? If you got your the V Bucks, the kids asking the parents like, "I need to buy V Bucks for Fortnite." So what they do is they just change how your character looks and all that. It's not supposed to affect gameplay. There are ones, or cosmetic items or something you can buy in certain games that would we would consider what we call pay to win items, where they save you 50 hours of grinding. That's another gaming term right there. Don't look like
I
that.
kind of like that, but please continue. I'm gonna remember. I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll ask my questions later.
Okay, okay, that's fair. But yeah, so if they're just for cosmetics, totally fine. I have no issue with that. I understand, because a lot of these games, like for instance, let's say Fortnite, or even the game you did pay for, in order to keep the main price down, they do these cosmetics as kind of an additional thing. I'm not so against that. I'm also not so against DLCs. I am not very happy with some of the states that games are released in these days, and then they patch them later. It's like a release now, fix later type model. That's not really working. But
You said, is it V Bucks?
that's what. Okay, so that's a specific game, Fortnite.
Okay.
That's what
Okay. Okay. Very popular game. I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
all the stories you hear about the kids asking their parents for V Bucks. That's in-game currency. You use real
So
money to buy that, and then you can buy the
I
skins.
can't pay rent in a V Buck.
No, no, you can't. And
So
once you
you're
spent money on it, it's in Fortnite. Like, you're not getting it back
and I can't sell it, right? Like,
unless you
can you?
sell your account. You can do that. People have
Please
done that.
hold. Please hold. Please hold. You can sell your Fortnite account.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, not too many people would do that, but like
What
World of
the?
Warcraft or other massive multiplayer games, Eve Online is another big
Why?
one.
Why
People
would you
would
do
pay
that?
thousands for some of these accounts
Why?
because of all the stuff they had. Like World of Warcraft, it was all the gear and all that type of stuff. Or Eve
Just
Online,
went
same
over
thing.
my head.
Eve Online's the same thing. You have all these ships and all this infrastructure the person built, and people have paid like, what is it? Ultima Online. I think it goes all the way back till then too. People would just buy their accounts and buy an account. That's what you do. And there are people that just basically that's what they did, was they got an account up to a certain level and they sold it.
I'm gonna be fully transparent. I 100% trade cryptocurrency, which I still think is like fake money, and I view it as gambling. This is also like fake money, and I don't know what you're doing. Like, this is like fake
Well,
money. I'm throwing it down the toilet.
yeah, especially when it comes to the whole Fortnite thing. That's more just cosmetics, I would say.
This is just
Other
bananas to
games
me. So, okay, wait. I have
and
an analogy.
crypto,
Please continue.
but
I'm
in
just blown
crypto
away
is
right
not.
now with this.
In crypto is not. I believe there is a use case for it.
I mean, I love it. I still think
So
you
do
have to be
I.
very smart and know what you're doing to dabble in it. So I guess my point is, I'm now going to use a very Barbie analogy, where Fortnite would be my Barbie, and then all of these other things are like the convertible and the Malibu beach house and Skipper and Ken. So I've just replaced like a tangible thing with, now I have a virtual thing.
Yeah, essentially. But I would argue that if you had the Barbie and then you got the Malibu beach house, then that's an upgrade. That's more like a DLC, right? Because now she can go to the beach house.
I guess times are just changing, aren't they?
No, I mean, and if you wanted the
I don't
Malibu
know.
beach house,
Yeah, I guess I'm just of that like tactical thing. I want to touch it, and I just think. But now that we're talking about it, I get it. It really is the new like Hot Wheels.
yeah,
Just any like. I'm thinking also like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where you have like the four, and then you have their pizza mobile, and then the thing that shoots out the pizzas. I get it. You're just adding on, adding on. It's just differently to contextualize the fact that, hey, it's in the matrix basically, and you can never really touch it. And then, quite frankly, the fact that you can sell your account blows my mind.
yeah. I mean, not a lot of people would do it for, let's say, Fortnite, but those games were there are massive multiplayer ones like I mentioned, EVE Online was a big one. World of Warcraft was another one, and any of those type of games.
I
I'm trying to
also, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I'm trying to think of the one I can't believe is escaping me right now, but my friends played it all the time. RuneScape, Jesus, RuneScape. People buy RuneScape accounts all the time. That game is so old. I mean, it's really old. Look up a picture of RuneScape. Good, Google it real quick of RuneScape, and look at those graphics. People can sell those accounts or buy and sell gold or items in the game. That happens all the time.
Okay, so for people, when we start talking about the whole psychology around this, again, I was out in California seeing some family friends, and their 8-year-old was like, "Hey, can I use my allowance to buy this skin?" And that was the question: Can I use my allowance to buy a skin? And I'm sitting there like, "What are we talking about? What's going on?" How do you think when we start discussing AI, it is what it is, right? It's a form of advertising. It's a consumer product. I get it. I copy that based on what we
Yeah.
talked about today. This is the new generation of action figure. Um, how do you think that AI is going to start to advertise to kids playing video games earlier than normal?
Well, it goes back to that example of, let's say, an NPC that has some sort of generative AI controlling its speech. It could recommend things, depending on the type of game. I mean, if it's a role playing game, probably not, because it wouldn't really fit into the whole universe of it. But if it's a more modern one, who knows? It could be an ad for something, or they could have a section where they have ads. I mean, there's been ads in video games before, but
Yeah.
ones that are more customized to that
Well,
player and what that person's interested in.
the more we're talking and the more I'm thinking about the kids that I'm around when I go hang out with them and we watch TV, they're streaming everything. There's no more commercials. So how are these companies
They
getting to them? It's got to be these games.
No, there's still commercial. In fact, a lot of streaming services are adding commercials. Amazon
Uh,
Prime, I'm looking at you, and Paramount Plus. If you don't buy the extra package, everything they have the base package now, and then they have the no commercial version, right? So they are getting,
they are,
first
but
of
I
all, they're
guess the people
paying
I know, they're paying more and they're not having the commercials. They don't want their kids to have the commercials. They
fair.
don't want to see the commercials. Um, I know the for Paramount, what I'm on is like you watch the two. I'm on the higher level, so you watch like the 2 minute whatever, and then you're free to go.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's
that
the one
just
I
makes me
actually.
think like I'm thinking of Saturday morning cartoons, like you're spoon fed, no pun intended. All the stuff that's out there, that's gone.
Yeah,
So
that's true, but they also have access to YouTube and their phone or whatever. A lot of parents will just let the kids on YouTube, even if it's YouTube for kids or what have you. They're still
I
going to
know I
see
learned
some
that the
stuff.
hard way because then they jury rig it. Trust me. Trust me.
Hmm.
If you need someone to watch your kid for like a weekend, I'm a professional. I figured it out because I walked in and I was like, wait, that's not YouTube for kids. How did you switch this account? Oh, I just use this device. I'm like, well, that's not your device, so you can't use it. Give it to me. This is what I'm talking about. Like, there's so many things with AI. So I guess my point is this: when we're thinking about the video games and the kids, the way that AI is getting so micro targeted on what you might need, you may only see a specific skin, you may only get a specific mod as an option. That is
Right.
then becoming another way of filtering what your perception of reality is.
That's
This is
true.
why I'm kind of against it. I mean, I'm
I,
not,
I
I
would
don't
say
know
this
enough,
though.
but I
I
just
would say
don't like
this.
it. Yeah.
I mean, even streaming services like Netflix or yeah, recommended for you, or we think you will love these. I'm sure it shows up on the kids version. I don't have any kids, so I haven't looked at the kids version, but I'm sure it has something similar in there. And YouTube does the same thing. So,
Go kick it with your sister for the weekend and watch. Just watch what they do. It's like, whoa.
oh no, no, no! My when she comes into town, I've spent time with them, and they're
Yeah.
on YouTube, and they have their tablets and all that kind of stuff. I
But just pay
mean,
more attention to this stuff. I think my viewpoint was very skewed when I was Alexa was being used. I was asking questions and Alexa was being used and I was like, "Wait, dude, that's not the point. You're supposed to think about it. You can't ask Alexa." And then I started asking they started playing other videos and I started paying attention to all the tech in the house. And now we're dropping in the AI where you're tracking and you're being able to basically project what does Sam want when Sam is 8 here. Here's the things he likes. What is Sam going to want potentially when he's 10? I'm going to build a sales pipeline for Sam and push what I think they might want at 10. That's my point with all the AI. I mean, again, and I don't know if it's good or bad. It might just be reality.
I think it's happening already. I think it has been. It's maybe not as sophisticated, but it has been, and it will continue to. It does promote, as you mentioned, the you get in your own little echo chamber or what have you of
100%.
You're always being fed stuff you like. You're not exposed to stuff you don't. You're not, you don't have that sort of, you don't have to make a decision or see something that's like, I don't want to deal with that. This type. It's always 100%. What you want. It's like a,
which is,
I guess, a virtual slot machine, right? There you go.
Which is why you're going to sit and be like, I need some V-Bucks. You're going to literally leave your house one day and be like, I need some V-Bucks. Oh, wait, it's reality. I don't have any money. Whoops. So how, and I know this is a very like businessy question, but how will AI actually drive dynamic pricing models?
So when it comes to especially online games, but we're talking about these skins and DLCs and all that for, if they were to incorporate,
I'm sorry.
Because that's what they're doing. You're reskinning the model. Like there's a mesh model beneath it.
So you're skinning people? There's gotta be better. I know you're not, but it just sounds funny. I'm sorry, I'll shut up again. The question was around dynamic pricing models.
What would you prefer it to be?
Personality?
Personas?
Persona? No, that sounds... Clothing? Customization?
Customization is usually used in conjunction, but a skin is the actual changing of your character model or something like that.
I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. Sorry, I just find some of these terms like, what's happening?
Fair enough.
And for like probably 90% of these people that are watching, you're like, duh, no problem. It's what it is. And I'm just like, this is just interesting. Okay, so dynamic pricing modeling.
Oh, definitely. So a lot of those games that are going to be online and in the future, if they do use, let's say, generative AIs, and in the future, our graphics cards can probably run these, but right now it's kind of taxing for them. You're going to need a high-end PC, even if it does have that, and it won't have as much of a connection to a cloud server. But if they did make one, let's say that's an online game or always online type game that did talk to its server and all that, then there's two ways they could make money on that, right? It's A, to sell your data and how you game and all that sort of thing for ad revenue or to targeted ad companies, and two, for customization. So that's how they can fund the use of their servers and all that.
Okay.
Because a lot of games that come out these days do that. They have the official servers for them, and then somebody has to pay the bill. So they'll either release DLC or customization or something like that because they want that entry point to still stay in that. We're creeping up on, you see 70, 80 sometimes for your mainline entries, AAA games. Not all of them deserve to be called AAA, but still, it was, 50 and it's gone up to 70. They're trying to keep the price lower and the price of admission so they can sell you more in the back end.
So, not to go on a tangent, to keep it pretty short, my thought based on what you just said is, what happens if someone hacks my game? I've invested money into this. It's on a server somewhere. How are these protected so I don't get hacked and my stuff stolen?
That does happen. Many people over the years have lost their accounts to, another good example of a game where you can sell them is Warframe. That does happen, and if it does happen to you, they'll just tell you tough luck.
Can you insure your game?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm sure somebody would do it, but
there's an idea.
Gaming insurance.
I just know again, back in the million years ago when I played SimCity, there was a computer that crashed and everything was lost. This is pre-cloud, etc. And
she didn't know about the F5 save.
No, the computer caught on fire. It's a whole story.
Wait, it caught on fire? Okay, you don't have to get
the whole story. But I just thought, I'm like, oh my God, that's a year of work gone. So I would literally, this is very interesting because I know we're going to talk about cybersecurity in the next like one of the next
Hmm.
few episodes, I never thought about that either. Because again, you're literally investing for some people. This is, a hobby that is like photography, where maybe you have a $6,000 camera to go like take pictures of surfers. They may be dropping 6K a year just on skins, whatever you want to call it. I would
Skins upgrade depending on
I
the
would be
game.
really pissed if someone stole my game.
Yeah, it does happen though. It does happen, and that's why we're going to mention cybersecurity and TFA and backups and all that kind of stuff too.
Oh.
Normally they'll try to help you, but if it's stolen, you can't prove it's yours or anything like that. They're not just going to give you all your stuff back.
No, it's like it's a new level somewhere. So this is all like blowing my mind right now. All right, so I mean, let's also talk a little bit about. I mean, we've talked about the fact that there's the engagement piece, and then there's exploitation, where you talk about pricing and just sucking people in. Ultimately, we're going to talk about my least favorite concept, which is a gaming card, or my new best friend. But you firmly believe that gaming helps kids. I agree to an extent. You are adamant. Why are you so adamant around how it helps with cognitive development?
Let me specify that a little though. Not all gaming. Not gaming on your
Okay.
phone, I don't think. Consoles even, I still don't think. I mean, that does help with your hand-eye coordination and all that, sure. But gaming on a computer, especially one that you built or customized, and then you have to deal with file systems, and it gets you ready for even if it's just basic office products that you're going to use. It gets you ready and you're familiar with the interface. So when you get on a computer for the first time or what have you, you know where things are. You know, this should be here, this should be there, that type of thing. I mean, that's playing games is what got me into modifying games, right? Or modding games, and which got me into programming, which got me, up and up and up into tech. So
How is it going to help with social skills for these people that are like pale in their parents' basement?
well, not first of all, not every gamer is that way. Secondly, there's huge community apps like Discord is the most popular that you'll
Okay.
hear, where they can get in. You can voice chat with people. You have your friends on Discord. I mean, I have friends I've known for 7, 8 years that I've never met or
Okay.
even seen on camera. I've just talked to them over voice chat.
At the front door.
No, really.
Wow.
In fact,
Okay.
well, I mean, I've seen April and Junior at this point, but they I remember when they had their first kid, and now they're now he's getting older. Yeah.
Okay, then I am all in then. All right. Interest cool. Cool. Not even interesting. That's pretty kick ass. So, Ken, one of the things that you also firmly are adamant about is the fact that gaming can teach kids how to have better emotional and mental health. There's a lot of people that are going to completely disagree with you. So, walk us through why you are in such belief that yes, gaming can help with emotional and mental health.
Definitely. I in my personal experiences where this really comes from, learning to play a game on a computer is much different than, let's say, a phone or a console or a tablet or anything like that, because it does teach you how to use a computer, teach you different parts of the computer, and then eventually people want to build their own computers and learn the file system and modify the game. So it gives them exposure to that side of it, and then when they move into the working world, they know these types of things. Okay, well, I've had this issue while I was trying to mod a game before. I know what this error message means and all that. That's how I got into tech and programming and all that. Was I wanted to know why this didn't work, or I wanted to make something work. So I had to develop my search engine skills for Google and all that. Or it wasn't Google back then, but still search engine skills and just ways to find things on the internet. So those
Okay.
skills have transferred over into modern day. So I do believe it's not good in some cases because a lot of kids will, especially with consoles and phone games and all that, will get caught up in it and play them all the time. And I don't think that's necessarily enriching, except for maybe hand-eye coordination. Nothing against those who play consoles. I'm just saying in general. But yeah,
I mean, we had
yeah.
a
So I
limit.
think
We
it's
couldn't play all the time. We had to have like it was 30 minutes. Well, for me, my brother's different because he's special. He's younger. So he broke the parents down. but I had 30 minutes on school nights and I had 1 hour on the weekends.
Hmm. I was never limited on my computer gaming. I will say that. Not that it was bad though, because it did turn into a interest in technology that's with me. It'll be with me forever, basically.
Speaking about technology, again, the bane of my existence is apparently having some kind of integrated, not a true video card. I'm very pissed. You have a favorite. Tell us about your graphics card.
Well, I don't have the top of the line one right now because I built this computer 2 years ago, but I have pretty well religiously used, actually, yes, religiously used Nvidia cards ever since the beginning. And I need to look this up, but I'm pretty sure Nvidia bought 3DFX, which I had used before that, way back in the day when OpenGL was still a thing and all that.
Okay, so for like lame
Well,
people that
I
don't know
guess it's
what any of
still
that is, what would give me a sentence on like what you just said that's really, really high level.
okay. Very large graphics cards that you have to have the side of your computer off of that
There you go.
essentially would be 3D for 3D games. Like a Half-Life was one of the big ones. When that first came out, that was genre defining right there.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Excellent. Excellent. So you, perfect world. Why do you want to have this?
Yes. So the reason, well, there's a couple of reasons I like NVIDIA cards. I think the CUDA cores are superior to stream processors, but that's a contentious thing for a lot of people. I happen to like them though, and I stay with that. Or TensorFlow cores as well for ray tracing. I am getting way too complex with it, aren't I? Okay, so I
No,
won't do
you're good
that.
because I understand. I know. Well, I know what ray tracing is, so I don't know if I'm just a savant and I know certain things.
And so it makes your games look prettier with reflections and all that. Okay,
That
that's
might be
the
an urban planning vibe then. I might know of that from urban planning.
that's the basis of it. But these graphics cards also I use for work. For instance, I have 3 monitors right now. So I have a lot of stuff that has to be rendered by the graphics processing unit, and it takes a lot of load off your CPU, right? Not that I don't have a good CPU too, but it does assist. And having that extra graphical power will enable you to play games like City Skylines in your instance, or edit videos was another reason I got
Mm,
nice graphics card, 64 gigs of RAM, and all that when I built this 2 years ago. Right, it was near the end of the pandemic, so
okay.
I got a pretty good deal on this card. But Nvidia has always been my favorite, always worked fantastic. I just know Nvidia cards. I didn't touch AMD. This is my first AMD PC actually with the processor. I used to use Intel exclusively.
So the next question I have is that's an expensive card. Not everyone can spend that much. It's also remained high as they continue to go ahead and adapt. What's your what's a good, I wouldn't even say you are, but what's a good plan B if you're building your own computer?
Well, a good plan B, in even if you were to get a laptop, is just get a older generation card. You don't need the current generation card to run. Because basically, what you're doing when you do that, when you build a computer, I mean, the graphics card for this computer I got for a really good price, but still is at least half of the cost or 1/3 of the cost, somewhere in between there, of the actual computer. Because the graphics card by itself, I mean, sometimes they run up to
A lot.
1,700 $1,700 or more, depending
Yeah.
on if you want to get the brand new one with all the bolted on extra RAM and all that. But it's one of the core elements in your computer, right? Your motherboard obviously holds everything together, and that part's important. But your GPU will affect your gaming and video processing and all that.
I
Your
was
CPU
totally lied to, but yeah.
Your CPU as well is important for that. Your RAM is also very important for that. So those are like the trifecta, if you will, of things that you want to future proof if you're going to have a edge gaming computer. But as you mentioned, the plan B is too. You don't have to have the latest one or the best one or 12 gigabytes of onboard RAM on the card itself. You can
It's
get one that just plays the games,
yeah,
in
it just plays
1080p.
the games. It just plays. It just plays. For the last about almost an hour, probably, we've been talking about video games. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. At the end of the day, I think I have homework on to go one, replace my Ohio computer with a real computer. I guess I'm going to not have a laptop anymore. And again, if you know me, do not send your comments or your advice. I don't need it. I've been hoodwinked and feel bad. AKA, I'm pissed off that I have a shitty computer. So I'm going to do my due diligence, download some games, play a little. I'll set a timer so I don't usurp 24 hours at a time, which is much like could potentially happen. Ken, you gave us some plan Bs, you gave us your train of thought, and you went really high level on something. So thank you for those of us that don't understand a lot of the tech behind gaming and AI involved. And for those of you that are gamers, I'm sure you understood exactly what he was talking about. And we're like, oh, that's a really cool viewpoint. I hadn't thought of that. So on that note, we are going to cue the music. Unless, Ken, do you have anything you want to add at the end here?
Well, absolutely. We have to give the obligatory like and subscribe, right? And comment down below, especially about your thoughts about gaming. I know I didn't get as deep into it as many of us gamers would like to talk about, but that's okay. We like to have a broad overview as well. But leave that in the comments. Let us know if there's anything you'd like us to talk about, especially on this topic or just in general. Always look forward to that.
And I mean that. I mean, if you want more detail, folks, tell us, because I can just ask questions and sit back and secretly mock or be in awe, because I think there was twofold here today. So let us know if you want a deeper dive in this and you're into it. Tell us. I can just sit back and listen and learn, because this is 90% of why we started this podcast, is picking topics, going and researching, figuring out how we can help you understand what's going on and what you're interested in and what we can spark conversation around. The other thing we will say is, if you are in the tech industry and you're looking for people to actually beta any hardware or software, we are definitely interested and happy to help at any level that we can.
Absolutely.
Cool. So we will go ahead and cue us out with the music. On that note, thanks for joining us for Catbot AI. Meow meow.
Meow meow.